Well, good afternoon, neighbors. I'm so glad you stopped by. Today, we're going to take a journey back in time where everything was much simpler. As you see in this picture, it is a painting of a young girl and a young boy, two children, brother and sister. This painting was done by my mother a very long time ago. She was not only a registered nurse, she was an artist, a seamstress. She had so many different talents. So let's talk about a simpler time. People are always saying, "Oh, the good old days, the good old days." Well, what do the good old days mean to you? A simpler time was not so simple. It was more difficult. It was harder to get things done. People worked hard. They went to a job, they stayed forever, and that was their career. These days, it doesn't happen that way. It was a simpler time back then because there weren't as many gadgets, not as many phones and computers and the internet and YouTube and cable. Yes, it was very simple. I lived in part of that time, not all of the time, but part of that time. But a simpler time where you enjoyed your family more, you valued the time that you had with your family. Time is short. Everyone has a day and a time where they will leave this earth, but we don't know what day it is, we don't know what time it is, we don't know when it will be. We just know that one day it'll happen. So I always tell everyone in my family, cherish every single moment with your family, with your friends, with your relatives, because you just don't know. You could walk out the door and that's the last time they see you. So many things are happening in our world today. The simpler time, things happened then too. It wasn't like it was without incident. Things did happen. But they took time with their family because they didn't have the gadgets and the phones and the internet and the TV, the video games or whatever, all the electronics. They didn't have all that. So they went fishing. They went out and planted the garden. They visited with their friends and relatives and visited the grandparents. They ate dinner together. They discussed their day. It was a simpler time because there weren't so many things to occupy your time. So my suggestion is today, just take time. Maybe go back to the simpler times. Look up what it was like. Turn off the TV. Turn off all the electronics. I have a no phone zone in my house, and you put your phone in an area and you leave it there. And if you're here, friends and family, and they're here to visit me, I assume, and not to be on their phone. I have seen in past some people at a gathering, they're sitting on the couch, all of them are on their phone, they're texting each other or texting someone else, and it's completely silent in the room because no one's talking. And that's when I said, you know what? It's going to be a no phone zone. Just, it's my house, my homestead. I don't want phones in this area. I'm not saying don't bring the phones. I'm not saying you can't have it for emergencies or whatever it might be, but take some time to be with your family. One day will be that last day. So make sure that you cherish the time you have with your family. Go back to a simpler time. Try making recipes from maybe even the Great Depression. Go back and look them up. Use the internet. If you have a cookbook, use a cookbook. Do it as a family. Do it with your grandchildren. Do it with your kids. Make sure that they know how to live in a simpler time, just in case one day we may have to live in a simpler time without the electronics, without the microwave. Patience is short. I always say it's a microwave society because everyone wants something in 30 seconds or less. Well, why is it taking so long? Why? What do you mean it's not ready? I want it now. I want it later. I want it before now. So take some time. Just take some time to relax. Talk to your friends. Don't text them. Don't email them. Talk to them. Call them up on the phone. If they're nearby, go visit your neighbors. I always start out with, "Good morning, neighbor," or "Hey, neighbor, how's it going?" That's what people in the country and on homesteads do. If you're driving down the road, you always wave at the person coming up, toward you. And that's just a sign of, "How are you doing, neighbor?" So take some time, enjoy your family and friends any way you would like. Play a board game, play a card game, draw a picture, whatever you want to do. Well, neighbor, I am so glad you stopped by. And if you have a minute, go ahead and subscribe to my channel. Give me a thumbs up and make sure that little bell is lit so you don't miss any of the upcoming videos. There'll be quite a few videos coming up with me chatting. I'm going to start my Thursday tea time, and we're going to just sit and talk about anything that you'd like to talk about. So in the comments, give me some suggestions on topics that you'd like to discuss, and we'll sit down and talk about these on Thursday. Well, I'm so glad you stopped by, and I hope to see you soon.